Hi, I'm Gina Ferrens from OneTeam. I coordinate our financial wellness program. Dillon's joining me today. We're going to talk a little bit about taxes and retirement. This is the program in this series that I really think is foundational to all the other programs. And Greg, you hit on a lot of different topics in this webinar, from legislation, updates, strategies that I think are very sophisticated, and then very simple solutions that we really do highlight in our bucket plan strategy. So I'd like you to just highlight a couple things that we go over in the webinar.
Sure.
We're going to start out with, what is the biggest misconception people have about their taxes in retirement?
Thank you, Gina. Biggest misconception that we hear is that my taxes are going to be lower in retirement. Now, taxable income might be lower in retirement, but because of all these complicating factors, their tax bill might actually be higher than it was during their working years. People forget that what they pay for their health insurance in retirement is based on what they earn in retirement. The taxation of their Social Security is based on what they earn in retirement. You have required minimum distributions, pension elections, all these different factors that make it a lot more complicated at a time in your life where you would hope that things would get a little bit more simple. So that's the biggest misconception that we see, is that my tax bill will be lower.
And we really do want to aim for simple, right? I mean, our whole goal at OneTeam is to help people go for simple and to live well, right? You've worked your whole life. And I think that that's where people get a little bit confused sometimes. I know that I've sit in enough client meetings with you that I see people go, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that complicated. And listen, you've worked so hard. You want it to be simple, and we really do want you to live well, whatever your goals are, whether that's, an everyday daily living, or your vacation goals, or your legacy goals, or your long-term care goals, whatever those goals are, we really do aim to help you achieve those goals, and not have those surprises that you really just identified. So what are the biggest mistakes that you see people make when it comes to their taxes in retirement?
Broad generalization here, but the biggest mistake that I see is the lack of a plan. So most folks that we meet with don't have a coordinated retirement income plan that looks at their Social Security, their pension, their pre-tax accounts, their post-tax accounts, their Roth IRA accounts, and ties it all together into an income plan in an effort to maximize their income and minimize their taxes. And forget the math and science behind it, but I feel like folks have peace of mind when they have a plan in place versus just having stuff. And I think, to your point earlier, we overcomplicate things. As an industry, we tend to overcomplicate things, and we need to simplify things so that people don't get analysis paralysis and do nothing. We want to make sure that we put together a plan that our clients can actually follow and implement, that gives them the confidence in retirement to live the lifestyle that they want to lead. We find that folks that don't have a plan oftentimes don't spend the money that they've worked very hard to accumulate because they've got this little just in case in the back of their mind. Well, what if the stock market goes down early in retirement? What if I get hit with a long-term care event? What if tax rates go up? What if inflation goes up? But I feel like if all those issues are addressed in a comprehensive plan, that frees people up mentally to enjoy their retirement.
And I think one of your favorite phrases is, that people tend to do things very willy-nilly, right? I think that you should patent that phrase, because, and if you don't have that plan, you do end up doing things very willy-nilly. And I can tell you that now, in working with you both personally and professionally, and having a plan in place, it really truly is peace of mind that I can now say, oh, I have this plan, and I can feel that, okay, I now know what I'm doing now, a little bit sooner, and long term. And it does relieve stress, and it makes you feel like you can breathe a little bit and check some boxes, which the whole goal is you might not check them all the time, but you can check them off as you go. I mean, you and I just had a meeting last week, and I said, okay, now what are the boxes for this year that I can check, what are my goals? And you can just check them off, and you feel a little bit better about yourself. This next thing I'm going to ask you about, you talk about all the time. I think it's your favorite topic to talk about, not mine, but I think it's yours. You talk a lot about sequence of return risk, and why is it so important to guard against it in retirement?
So the biggest risk to retirees is longevity risk, the risk of living too long. So if you only retired for 5 years, you only live for 5 years in retirement, doesn't matter if you're pulling 10% out of your portfolio a year, doesn't matter if tax rates double, doesn't matter if inflation's out of control. But if you live 20 or 30 years in retirement, there's a high likelihood that some of those events are going to take place over that 20 or 30 year period. Second to longevity risk, in my opinion, is sequence of return risk. It's a risk that's completely unique to retirees, a risk that you didn't have to worry when you were working, saving, building that proverbial nest egg. What sequence of return risk means, or timing of return risk is another way to state it, is that if you have losses in your portfolio in the early years of retirement and you're pulling money out to finance your retirement lifestyle at the same time the market's pulling money out because it's going down, well, then you're burning the candle at both ends, and it's difficult to recover from that. One of two potential bad outcomes. Number one, you have to sacrifice your retirement lifestyle, or number two, you leave a lot less behind to the people and the causes that you care about than you would have otherwise.
And how can retirees protect themselves from the timing and the sequence of the risk?
It goes back to having a plan, but our simplistic philosophy is what we call the bucket plan. And we actually believe so strongly in the bucket plan. We collaborated with a group of like-minded advisors, and we penned a book. What the bucket plan book states is that, especially as you get close to retirement, you want to make sure that you segment your money by time and by purpose. You've got a now bucket, a soon bucket, a later bucket. Your now bucket's just your cash in the bank. We know with interest rates as low as they are today, you're not earning a heck of a lot, but that's your comfort fund, your emergency fund. Your soon bucket is really designed to fund the intermediate term, so the money that you're going to need sooner than later. And what we'll learn in the presentation is we don't want to have that soon bucket invented in something that's going to go like this. Because like I said before, if we happen to time it wrong and we're pulling money out at the same time the market's pulling money out, game over. But if we've properly segmented those first two buckets and we've got the now bucket taken care of, we've got the soon bucket covered, even though we may be in retirement or nearing retirement, that frees us up to invest the rest of the money with a tilt towards growth, because we know any short-term fluctuations in the market aren't going to negatively impact our retirement lifestyle.
Excellent. So I think this really hopefully gave you a little bit of highlight about what this program is about. Greg is a contributor to this book. Photos on the back. If you'd like a copy, you can reach out to me at Gina at OneTeam Financial. If you want to see this entire recording, again, let us know. We have the full recording of the webinar. We're happy to send it over to you. This is a highlight of one of many in the series, including Social Security, Medicare, life insurance, estate planning, cybersecurity, financial literacy for parents, and we add programs all the time. Happy to put out this series for you, your firm, your association, your clients as a value add for education and resources purposes, really to give you the knowledge and really the resources to be able to educate and so that you can live well into retirement. So we hope that you found this to be educational, and feel free to contact me with any questions about our program. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.